Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for joining us. The backup of approving nominees to fill crucial job openings in Washington has Democrats fuming, and now they take major action to address the situation. ABC's Karen Travers explains.
After failed negotiations,
Russia's Federal Migration Service confirms that it's received a request for temporary asylum from a National Security Agency leaker, Edward Snowden. The agency says it will review the request within 3 months, and Snowden's lawyer says Snowden fears he could face torture or death in the U.S., where he's wanted for revealing details of a U.S. intelligence program to monitor internet activity. Snowden has said he would seek Russian asylum temporarily before going to Venezuela, Bolivia, or Nicaragua, which have offered him asylum. Snowden is believed to have been in Moscow's international airport since arriving there June 23rd. Well, let's get a first look at the weather with our meteorologist, Mike Gismondi. Mike, we had some blue skies, then yesterday it rained, like you said, around 3 o'clock. I was out there, I got wet, my hair got wet, did not look good after that. What can we expect today?
Pretty much that same story. In fact, a little...
Ocala police are searching for the party responsible for wrecking one of North Central Florida's most respected institutions. Well, someone broke into the Boys and Girls Club of Marion County over the weekend and caused thousands of dollars worth of damage. Well, as a result, police are stepping up their patrols around the facility, and TV20's Trent Kelly reports club officials are now searching for a way to pay for repairs. If you would like to assist club officials in their rebuilding efforts, you're asked to visit their website, and a link to that can be found on our website, WCJB.com. Well, Marion County commissioners were shocked after receiving a request from Sheriff Chris Blair for an extra $17 million for his budget. Well, now he has trimmed that request to $8 million extra dollars. Commissioners say the number is still too high, and approving that request would mean an increase in taxes. The Marion County Sheriff's Office budget request for fiscal year 2013 through 2014 is about $75 million, an $8.2 million increase from last year's budget. Well, Sheriff Blair says the agency is short-staffed and his deputies are in desperate need of patrol cars. Commissioners will analyze the budget request to see where additional cuts can be made, but they do not want to raise taxes.
The only way we could not raise taxes would be to, A, cut other spending, in other departments around the county. We could do that, or we could use some what we would call non-recurring revenue. Problem is, with using non-recurring revenue, you dig yourself a hole the next year because you're using revenue that you only had once to fund something that's going to continue forever and ever.
Commissioners will discuss Blair's request at tomorrow's budget workshop. Well, there's a new red light traffic camera monitoring drivers in Palatka. The new camera is active and will capture still images and video of red light running violations at the intersection of State Road 100, Reed Street, and North 2nd Street. Anyone who is caught disregarding traffic signals will be fined $158. Reactions to George Zimmerman's acquittal over the weekend in the shooting death of Trayvon Martin are bringing protests to North Central Florida. About 70 people showed up Monday to a rally organized by the Dream Defenders. Now, that's a youth activist group. They began at the Bo Diddley Plaza in downtown Gainesville and marched to the Department of Justice office in hopes of federal officials will file charges.
They have everything that they need to be able to go after Zimmerman and file a federal suit, file a federal hate crime case against George Zimmerman. Justice can still be served.
Activists want civil rights charges filed against Zimmerman. They say the shooting death of Trayvon Martin was a hate crime. One of the prosecution's star witnesses in the George Zimmerman murder trial is commenting on Saturday's not guilty verdict. Rachel Jantel was on the phone with Trayvon Martin, and she was the last person to speak with him before the deadly shooting. Well, now she's giving her first interview after the verdict. Well, she said the verdict was, quote, BS, and said Martin was never aggressive, describing the teen as a calm, loving person who loved his family and was a good friend. She dismissed the idea that the case had no racial dimension.
It was racial. Let's be honest, racial. If Trayvon was white and he had a hoodie on, would that happen? Because that was around 7 o'clock or something. That's around that people walk their dogs, people stay outside, all that.
Jeantel acknowledged that Martin smoked marijuana, but says the drug did not make him aggressive. She also took a lot of heat over her speech during her testimony. She says her speech has been affected by an underbite that will require surgery to correct. One of the jurors who acquitted George Zimmerman is speaking for the first time. Juror B37's identity was concealed last night when she spoke to CNN's Anderson Cooper. The juror said she did not think the testimony of key prosecution witness Rachel Jeantel was very credible. You just heard from Jeantel, the girl who was on the phone with 17-year-old Trayvon Martin when his deadly confrontation with Zimmerman began. The juror says Zimmerman may have initially been following Martin, but she believes Martin turned the tables on him.
I think the roles changed. I think George got in a little bit too deep, which he shouldn't have been there. But Trayvon decided that he wasn't going to let him scare him and get the one over up on him or something. And I think Trayvon got mad and attacked him.
The juror also said the women all cried after they handed the bailiff their verdict. The literary agent came forward saying this juror has a book deal in the works. During her interview, she said that information was not true. Well, more on the acquittal of George Zimmerman later in the show, including a message from his parents who are speaking out about their son for the first time. Well, happening around the state, the Board of Education approved last-minute changes to the formula used to calculate annual school grades. The decision could mean more than 100 schools will avoid getting an F grade this year. Each year, the state hands out A to F grades that are used to reward top schools and sanction those who get failing marks. Board members opposed the change, said it would manipulate and disguise the true academic performance of the state schools. A planned spacewalk outside the International Space Station ended early Tuesday after a malfunction in one of the astronauts' spacesuits. NASA detected a water leak in the astronaut's helmet. The source of the leak was not immediately known. 2 engineers from the Expedition 36 crew were supposed to finish installing cables and routine maintenance. This was the second spacewalk in 7 days. Astronauts are preparing the ISS for a new Russian laboratory module, which is set to arrive later this year. Well, obesity is now officially recognized as a disease, and coming up next, we meet with a bariatric nurse to discuss what the new recognition means for the way doctors and insurance companies handle the condition. We'll be right back.